The Starlight Keeper, the longest conversation. Good evening, wandering souls and dreamers. Have you ever looked up at the infinite mantle of the night and felt a pang of longing? An inexplicable certainty that among so many points of light, one of them holds an echo of what you once loved? Tonight, on the corner of lost stories, I will take you to a cliff beaten by wind and salt. There stands a solitary lighthouse, known to the few locals as the Whisper of the Firmament, and at its peak lived Elias, the last keeper of its light, and the only man who conversed with the stars. Elias was not a man of many words with the living. His hands, furrowed like ancient maps, spoke for him. 60 years had passed since he first arrived on that rock, a young man with a heart full of the sea and a love of Elena. Elena did not love the sea. She loved the sky. She said that every star was a promise suspended in time. Together, they would spend their nights on the lighthouse gallery, she teaching him the constellations, he listening, fascinated. That one there, she would say, pointing to a twinkling dot in the constellation of Cygnus, that will be me. If I ever leave before you do, look for me there. Elias would laugh, kissing her hand, not understanding the weight of that promise, born on a summer night. But time, like the tide, washes away all certainty. Elena left, silent as the dawn. The lighthouse became a tower of solitude. The light that once guided ships now seemed like a mute scream in the darkness. Elias grew old. His hair turned the color of sea foam, and his gaze took on the depth of the nocturnal ocean. One night, while cleaning the great crystal lens, he remembered Elena's words. He looked toward Cygnus, and there it was. A star that seemed to shine with a different intensity, a pulse that only his heart could recognize. A wild idea, born of grief and hope, blossomed in his mind. What if he could answer? With his expert hands, he modified the lighthouse mechanism. He created a system of shutters and levers. It was not a language of letters, but of light. A Morse code of longing, of long and short flashes. The first night, he aimed the beam of light directly at her, at Elena's star. If this story moves you, consider leaving a like so that Elias's light can continue to shine. His message was simple, one long pulse. And I am here. He waited, holding his breath, watching through an old telescope. The star did not change. It continued to twinkle with its cosmic rhythm, indifferent to the plea of an old man on a distant planet. But Elias did not give up. Night after night, he repeated the ritual, his one-sided conversation with eternity. He told her about his day, the ships that passed, the color of the clouds at sunset, the seagull that was nesting on the ledge. The sea was furious today, he flashed. It reminded me of your temper when I disagreed with you. I found your old wool shawl, he blinked another night. It still smells of you, of cinnamon and sea breeze. The few sailors who navigated near that coast began to speak of the lighthouse's strange cadence. It was no longer the steady, reliable sweep they knew. At times, the light seemed to dance, to stutter, to sigh. Legends were woven, that the old lighthouse keeper had gone mad, that he was speaking to ghosts in the sea. But Elias was not mad. He was in love. He was keeping alive the longest conversation in the world. Years passed. Elias's hands grew slower, his back more stooped. The shutter mechanism became more complex. He no longer just sent messages, but asked questions. Do you remember our first dance at the village fair? The light asked. Did the aroma of the coffee I made this morning reach you? I made it just how you liked it, very strong. One stormy night, one of the worst he could remember, the lighthouse generator failed. Darkness swallowed the tower. Elias, his bones aching, climbed up with an oil lamp. He worked for hours, his fingers numb with cold, while the wind howled like a wounded animal. His only thought was that she up there would feel lonely if his light did not answer her. When the great lamp finally roared back to life, Elias aimed the beam at the sky, exhausted. His message was short. 3 quick pulses. I miss you. And then it happened. Something that defied logic, physics, and the cold reason of the universe. The star in Cygnus flickered, not with its usual rhythm. It flickered just once, a long, deliberate flash, one pulse. And I do too. Elias dropped the telescope. The tears, held back for decades, streamed down his wrinkled face. It was not a hallucination. He saw it. He felt it in the depths of his soul. She had answered him. From that night on, the conversation changed. It was no longer a monologue. It was a dialogue of infinite patience. Elias would send his message, and he would wait. Sometimes the answer took days, sometimes weeks. But it always came. A single pulse of light across light years of distance. A confirmation. A cosmic act of love. He asked her if she was happy. The answer took a month to arrive. One long, bright pulse. He told her he had adopted a stray cat he named Comet. There was no reply. Elena never liked cats. Elias smiled. Even in the vastness of the cosmos, she was still herself. The people from the nearby town noticed a change in the old lighthouse keeper. The perennial sadness in his eyes was gone. There was a serenity, a peace that no one could explain. When he went down for provisions once a month, he would hum old tunes, the ones he used to dance to with Elena. They would ask him about the strange light from the lighthouse, and he would only smile. "It's just a matter of light and time," he would reply. Nothing of importance. But to him, it was the only thing that mattered. It was the anchor that kept him sane on his island of stone. One autumn afternoon, Elias felt a different kind of weariness, a weight in his chest that wasn't just age. He knew his time as keeper was coming to an end. His conversation was approaching its final word. That night, he climbed to the lamp room more slowly than ever. Every step was a memory. He looked at his face in the reflection of the great crystal. He saw the young man who had arrived and the old man he had become. He aimed the beam of light at the constellation of Cygnus, at his star, which was shining brighter than ever. He engaged the mechanism. His hands trembled slightly, not from old age, but from emotion. He sent his longest message. He told her the story of their lives, from the day they met to that very moment. He spoke of his longing, his waiting, his gratitude for every pulse of light she had sent him. He finished with one last question, one final flash into the infinite. "Is it time to come home?" He turned off the mechanism and sat in his old wooden chair, next to the telescope, a blanket over his legs. He did not take his eyes off the star. He waited. The hours passed. The moon drew a silver path across the sea dot, just before dawn. As the sky began to turn a pale blue, the star replied. It was not one pulse. It was two, quick and clear. "I'm waiting." A placid smile formed on Elias's face. A final tear rolled down his cheek. He closed his eyes, and the Starlight keeper finally went home. When the relief boat arrived the next morning, they found the lighthouse silent. They found Elias in his chair, his gaze lost on the horizon, as if he were seeing something beautiful. On the table, next to the telescope, was an old star chart. The constellation of Cygnus was circled, and next to one of its stars, there was a note in Elias's trembling handwriting. "Elena lives here. Talk to her from time to time. She gets lonely sometimes." The new lighthouse keeper, a pragmatic young man, didn't understand the note. He put it away as an eccentricity of the old keeper. But that night, as he watched the monotonous sweep of the light, he couldn't help but look toward Cygnus. For a moment, he thought he saw two stars, very close together, twinkling in unison. The story of Elias and his stellar conversation was never written in the history books. It became a whisper among sailors, a legend told in port taverns on stormy nights, a tale of a love so great that neither death nor the vastness of the universe could contain it. It reminds us that the deepest connections often transcend words and distances. That sometimes all we need is to find our own way to send a pulse of light into the darkness. A simple, "I am here," waiting for a reply that perhaps has always been there, twinkling in the firmament. The story of Elias is a testament to human longing, to the need to believe that love does not end, it only transforms. It becomes starlight, a sea breeze, the echo of a promise made on a summer night. Whenever you look at the night sky, perhaps you will search for the constellation of Cygnus. And perhaps, if you look closely enough, you might see the glimmer of an eternal conversation. The light from Elias's lighthouse can no longer be seen from the coast, but its essence remains in every star that watches over us. Because love, like the stars, does not die. Its light simply takes a little longer to reach us. This story, whether an echo of reality or a dream woven in the night, leaves a question in our souls. If you had just one chance to send a message of light into the infinite, what would you say? We would love to read your messages in the comments. Share that light with us. If these stories resonate with you, please leave a like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so the echo of our stories always finds its way to you. Until next time.